Hey everybody, I am hashtag the tallest man in real estate. Happy Easter, everybody. I'm recording on the Monday, actually, after Easter of April 2023. So excited that you guys could join us. I wanted to present to you our March newsletter. And so we got some great slides now that we have the March data in. So let's get into it. Here's information on me and my team. I am obviously hashtag tallest man in real estate. And my focus is San Francisco, as well as I do some one offs in Oakland and the Bay Area. Most of these slides are going to be about San Francisco and what's happening in the real estate industry in the great city of San Francisco. So let's start with our first slide here. Um, what I want to show here is this is actually the San Francisco house price trends. And what I find interesting here is, and I will say this is probably a little bit hard for you to actually watch on your phone, but if you are watching from your computer, you'll be able to read these charts a lot easier. But what I saw on here is one of the main things is if you look about the middle of the chart, and if let's see, let's go to Q1 of 2018. Basically, the prices then are where the prices are right now. And so that is something that is very different in San Francisco. And so you can kind of see basically the prices really haven't changed that much in the last 5 years. And one thing I wanted to point out here is year over year, though, the Q1 for 2023 median house sales price was down about 18% from Q1 of 2022. So we're down 18% from last year. I would say this is just a normal correction. Obviously, with the interest rates, that is going to affect home pricing. But trying to compare what happened last year and the year before during the pandemic, that's not normal. So, what I'm kind of seeing is, obviously sales are down a little bit, but we are seeing it starting to even out a little bit, which presents a great time for buyers. So let's go to the next chart here. And this is the condo price appreciation. So I did break it out in terms of houses versus condos. So keep in mind, this chart is just for condos. And again, one of the trends you'll see here is so we're kind of in that 1.1 range. And if I go all the way to the left and go to basically Q1 of 2015, so what is that, 8 years or so? Condos have been pretty flat in San Francisco. When you talk about how much we've gone up and down, around that time before we were about 1.1 million. Now you have some fluctuations of 10 or 15% there, but condos have been pretty flat. Now if you're in a neighborhood like Pac Heights or the Marina, completely different. They're going to hold their wealth a lot more. A lot of this, what is driving that price down, is all the construction that happened in the Soma district, which is mainly where all the condos are being built. Every time, if you're looking at anywhere out in the Sunset or in the Richmond or the Marina, Pac Heights, every time a new development comes under under the process they need to go through to basically get that done in construction, all the homeowners end up complaining. So really the only building that you are seeing is downtown. When I say Soma, it's basically down near the ballpark where the Giants play baseball. One thing I did want to point out here too is, so on this one, year over year, the Q1 of 2023 median condo sales price was down about 7% from Q1. So as I said, it's just kind of trading between that 10 and 15% depending on the actual year. So let's go to the next chart here. And the next one is this one is the home value appreciation. And what we're looking at is the median price per square foot versus for condos is the white line, and the housing median price per square foot is the yellow line. And unlike other local counties in San Francisco, the median price per square foot value for condos, white line, typically ran higher than that of the houses, which you see as the gold line, but values have converged since the pandemic hit. And that's one thing you're seeing in this chart is over to the right, when the pandemic hit, those two lines started to converge. And then as of note too, on a year over year basis, Q1 2023 median square price per square foot values were down about 18% for houses and 14% for condos. And that's that correction we're having. The main thing about all of this is the higher interest rates. Obviously, that's going to slow down prices. So let's go check out the next chart then. And here we've got the mortgage interest rates. And this is what I, was alluding to in all the previous ones is when the interest rates go up, obviously people that were in the 2.5–3% range, they're not looking to sell their home anytime soon. The only reason why you would double your interest rate and move is if, something happened that you had to, move to probably get more space. So even if if you have, let's say, one child and you have another one, you may have that baby in a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom house for a little while. But eventually, once the baby turns into a toddler and they need more space, that's when you're going to move. And I think a lot of people are just kind of hanging on right now, trying to live where they can live and wait this out until the interest rates go down. What I do find interesting about this chart, though, is if you look in the middle here, so in September of 2022, we're basically at 6%. We're now about where that is. In April 2023, we're about 6%. If this interest rate starts going down to 5% or 5.5% even, you're going to see a lot more buyers come into the market. So if you can afford that higher interest rate right now, you can always refinance later, assuming interest rates do go down. And I think with the $30 trillion in debt that the United States has, interest rates will have to go down. You can't service that debt at the funds rate of 4 to 5%. So we'll have to see. If interest rates do go down, you will start to see more people get into the market here. And the next one, let's see, what chart do we have here? So this one is new listings coming on the market, and I thought this was pretty interesting as well. Is that one thing I wanted to point out here, and this is what I always tell my clients, is the busiest times in San Francisco are always springtime and the fall season. So in the springtime usually starts about March, April, May, June, and it's pretty good. A lot of new listings coming on in March and April, May particularly. July and August slows down as everyone goes on vacations with their kids. And then what happens in September, as you can see here, there's all these spikes happen in September where all the new listings have to get on and sold in usually about a 6 to 8 week period. It usually starts right after about Labor Day. I always tell people it's usually about 2 weeks after Labor Day is when you start seeing new listings. And then you really need to get them sold by November 1st. Otherwise, you start getting into the Thanksgiving holidays as well as the Christmas holidays. And it's not a good time necessarily to sell. And now if you're a buyer, I always tell people you're going to end up buying when your worlds align in terms of your future, your finances, and your family. When all those three things align, that's when people usually buy. So what I want to point out in this chart is new listings coming to the market. Now, what is interesting here, though, is if you look at the white bars, I highlighted them so that you can see exactly what March looked like over the past 4 years. And that's one thing you want to compare is anytime you compare any of these stats, you need to look what happened in that month, the previous year, and the year before that. Obviously, you can't compare December sales to, March and April sales. December is always slow. Nothing ever happens in the real estate world in those months. But yeah, if you look at new listings, so March 2023, we had, it looks like a little over 500 new listings. Compare that to 2022, where we had over 800. And then in 2021, we're around that 800 mark again as well. Now, again, I will say that 21 and 22 were a little bit out of the ordinary in terms of how much activity there was. It was absolutely insane last year at this time. A lot of overbidding. I mean, I was seeing a lot of properties getting 40 and 50 offers, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so we are down a little bit. Typically also on Tuesday Broker Tour, there's usually about this time of year about 25 to 30 pages of houses to go see. We've been at 10 for a long time. So that gives you that basically tells you how few listings there are out there right now. Hopefully with the rain and everything that happened before, hopefully we'll see a little bit of a delay and now it'll start to pick up, but it's not going to be like it was last year or the year before. So let's switch here to the next chart then. The next one is the San Francisco housing market, active and coming soon. And what this is new listings on the first of every month. And again, they're highlighted here actually in white so that you can compare the year over year. So this is kind of interesting though, is active and coming soon's listings as of the first of the month in April, there's 1,082. Last year at that time, 1,121. So not a big difference, which I found a little bit interesting. I wouldn't have expected that if you just asked me off the street. And then the next chart here is this gives a little bit more of a breakdown, and hopefully you're watching this on your computer. I'll kind of keep this up for a little bit, or maybe you want to screenshot it and actually read it a little bit more. But what I did here is we broke down the supply and demand for price segment per property type. So under 1 million in active and coming soon listings as of April 1st, there's 363 listings. And the average monthly sales volume is 91 sales. And the months of supplies of inventory is actually 4 months. Now, typically when it's 6 months of inventory is when it's about even in terms of being a buyer's market and a seller's market. San Francisco is almost always in the 1 to 2 months. So to see 4 months is, leaning more towards the buyers, I'd say. Now, in the 1 million to basically 2 million, you had 474 listings, and average monthly sales volume is 186. And so I'm not going to go through all of these, but one thing is, a trend that you see is that basically after you get to the 2 million to 3 million, you got 4 months of inventory. The 3 million to 5 million is 4 months. And then this is what's interesting is the 5 million to 10 million, you basically got a year of inventory. So if you're in that market, definitely if you're a buyer, you're in the driver's seat. And then if you're over $10 million, that's 35 months of inventory. So, a year and a half you're looking at, which is pretty interesting. Now, if you break it down to houses, we got about 2.25 months of inventory, and condos is 4 months of inventory. Again, once we start getting to that 6 months, that's when you start to see about even in terms of being a buyer's or seller's market. So if you're in that 10 million range, definitely a buyer's market right now. And let's check out the next chart here is monthly sales volume. Now, this is the market dynamics and seasonality that I spoke to before. And let's start with the very left of the chart. May 2019 is when it spiked up. There was about 600 listings then. October of 2019 was the height of the fall season then, a little over 500. And then what I wanted to point out here is in March of this year, we're at 400 listings or so. Now take that to last year at this time, you're almost at 700 listings. And so when you talk about year over year, that's how our volume is down 38%. Now, in terms of pricing, that doesn't always necessarily, mean that, you hear that, you say, oh my God, volume's down 38%. Honestly, what that means is realtors aren't getting as many transactions on the buy and sale side, so it's not good for us. But in terms of the buyers or sellers, it just depends, how many sellers are out there and how many buyers are out there. In terms of if we'll actually see prices, continue to go down or not. Let's go to the next chart here. And the next one is, I wanted to show the San Francisco higher price home sales. So this is homes selling over 3 million plus. And there's been a big drop off. And let's just go to the highlighted yellow or white here that I have. So March 2023, there's about 30 or so sales. And then last year at this time, you had 65. So that is just an insane amount of drop off between homes selling for that 3 million plus. That's just a lot. So year over year, $3 million sales or more. I'm talking about homes that are worth 3 million. Sales were down about 55% in March 2023 compared to last year of March 2022. And that's just a big difference. The number of higher price home sales typically ebbs and flows dramatically by season, with spring usually being the biggest selling season and midwinter the slowest. Sales usually follow the time of offers being accepted by 3 to 5 weeks. And what I was saying here is it's going to take you about 3 to 4 weeks to close. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in May with the April sales and those that were a little bit later in March. Let's go to the next chart here. So ultra luxury home sales of $5 million or more. And what we're looking at is now I'm getting more into the Bay Area here. And this is really interesting too, is when you take March 2022 and March 2023, you're down again 52% year over year. And this is Bay Area of home sellings for 5 million or more. So really a big drop off in that ultra luxury market, which is very interesting because, you know, when you think about what's happening in the pandemic and now this recession that we're going into, the white collar VPs are getting hit a lot harder. You're hearing a lot about these tech layoffs that are happening. And so you're just not going to see as many people moving around the Bay Area with all of that happening right now. And let's go now to the next chart here. And again, this is Bay Area. This is going to be looking at county. So when you look at Bay Area median large house home sales by county, so we're looking at Monterey, San Mateo County, Marin, Santa Clara, San Francisco, all the major counties here in the Bay Area. What I thought was interesting here is Monterey, the median sales price, and we're talking again with homes that are 5 bedrooms or 4 baths or more. So in Monterey County, the median sales price in that range is 6.35, and San Francisco is about the median county at 3.75, and that's an average of about 3,900 square feet. I just wanted to show this because, you know, when you think of San Francisco, you do think of it as expensive, but, you know, in those ultra bigger homes, a lot of times, like I said, the 5 bedrooms or 4 bath homes, you know, Monterey County, San Mateo County, Marin County are actually their median sales prices are a little bit higher. And this one is also interesting. Now, this is the Bay Area median house values by county. So what we're looking at here is 3 bedroom, 2 bath houses. So San Mateo County leads the way at median house sales prices. And I want to say they passed San Francisco fairly recently, within the last year, I want to say. So San Mateo County median is 1.55. San Francisco is 1.4. Now on 4 bedroom, 3 bath houses, so basically 1 more bedroom, 1 more bath, San Mateo County is 2.125 and San Francisco is 1.85. Again, if you're looking at this at your computer, it'll be a lot easier to see. On your phone, it's probably not going to come out, but maybe take a screenshot if you're actually curious to see what counties are the most expensive. And Contra Costa and Solano County are on the bottom of the pack. And to compare that to San Francisco is at 1.4 million on the median sales price. Contra Costa is 670,000. Solano County is 538,000. Now the next chart here is the Bay Area median home sales by county, and this is just 2 bedroom, 2 bath condos. And so San Francisco obviously has a lot of condos, and so at 1.25 million leads the way. San Mateo County comes in second, but at 850,000. So you can see the condo market in San Francisco is way higher than anything else in the Bay Area. The other ones honestly don't even really compare in terms of pricing for those averages. Let's look at the next chart here. So price reductions on active listings. And I wanted to show this and explain this a little bit. Is if you're looking at this, all the highlighted in terms of the most reductions on active listings is always October. And the reason being is all these new homes get flooded. As you saw that in the previous chart, September is the month with the biggest listings that all hit the market that month. And then it takes a while to get absorbed. And then sellers get nervous, or honestly, their condos or homes just aren't selling. So then in October, they have to do price cuts. Now, again, as I tell people, in terms of, you know, timing the market and stuff, on a seller, you usually typically do want to sell in the springtime or the fall. For buyers, don't try to time the market. Just when you're ready and, you know, it makes sense for you and your family, that's when you want to go in. You know, if you're trying to wait till springtime for price reductions and stuff like that, the problem with that is oftentimes spring is the new comps. So now the fall sales are based off of those spring comps. So that's why I always tell people, just when it's your time is for you and your family, and it makes sense for you, that's when you want to end up buying. And let's go to the next one here is average sales price to original list price percentage. And again, this is going to follow what we're saying before is houses have higher average sales price to list price percentage than condos. Both are much lower than last spring, but ticked up in February. This statistic fluctuates by season and is a lagging indicator of market activity 3 to 6 weeks earlier. And so that's why you're seeing that typically you'll see this happen more on houses in the springtime. And then during the condos period, you see that in the spring as well. But what I always tell people is on condos, if you're just looking at a home, usually it's going to go almost at ask, sometimes 5% above. And that's what this chart is exactly says is depending on the month, mainly spring is when you're going to pay 5% over ask. Versus on the home side of it, I always tell people you can spend between 10 and 20% over list price. And a lot of that obviously depends if it's springtime and what's happening in the market. So we are starting to see overbidding happen. And we'll see if that continues. It'll be interesting to see if that continues in the coming months. The next one is average days on market. And this makes sense because everything that what you're seeing is these spikes in January 2020, January again in 2021, 2022, and 2023. And the reason being is the days on market are going to obviously be longer as you get into November, December, January, when there just isn't as many sales. There's not that many buyers out there. And so the days on market are going to go a little bit longer. So that's a good thing too, is if you're a buyer and you are looking in those winter times, you will see a lot more deals out there. Now, I never suggest people wait till winter, but if you're getting into those months, buying when other people aren't is always a good option there. And the last chart I wanted to show, I just thought this was kind of interesting, is you're hearing about people leaving San Francisco and and where they're going to, and basically, when you look at this, if there's a big kind of orange dotted areas around San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Portland, Seattle, and then you got the Northeast and like the Chicago Midwest area. And where all those people are moving to is down to the south. So Arizona, Phoenix area, Las Vegas. You're hearing about people moving to Texas and Dallas and Austin. Florida is getting a lot of people. Up in Atlanta is getting really hot as well. All around Atlanta, Tennessee is where a lot of people are moving to. I just thought this was interesting because it does support what you are hearing out in the news. I'll see if this, is just a trend that's happening right now, if this is something that's going to continue. I do think this will continue over the next few years. But my personal opinion is in the next 10 years, the southern area of the country is going to have real problems when it comes to water and how hot it's going to be. And you're going to see people start to migrate up north. But we'll see what happens with that. Thought that was interesting. So back to, myself, as I mentioned, I'm hashtag the tallest man in real estate. If you have any questions, my main area of focus is in San Francisco. But if you're anywhere in the country and you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you. If you have any friends or family that are moving, I've got connections all over the United States. I'd be happy to help them out. And if there's anything I can do, just let me know. Hope you're doing well and had a great time and day and Easter and all that.